Hello everybody, welcome to episode 156 of Show Viewers. Today we'll be going over Carolina by Niko DeMille. This song starts off with a very enjoyable sequence for me because I personally am a massive fan of shoegaze, and like I said, it's really important to me because me and my girlfriend is one of the first bands that she introduced me to and put me on, My Bloody Valentine, which is her favorite band. She put me on it and I was like, whoa, this is surprisingly good. Then I got into a little bit of slow dive and then listened to the whole discography of An April March, and there's some really sweet memories behind An April and March specifically that me and my girlfriend share. So it is though it's not my favorite genre of all time, it's very near and dear genre to me. It holds the most sentimental value to me. And this first part of the song, for the battle, it's the first 3 or 4 lines, really sounds like a shoegaze song. You have the overbearing music in the background, but then you have the slow melodic vocals just speaking about sweet, not necessarily nothingness, because these lyrics are present and do likely have meaning. I just can't derive what they mean, because one of the first set of the lyrics is, in the dust, let them breathe. Through the trees, save them. I really don't know. I have a clue what that means. I actually don't even have an iota of a clue. In the dust, let them breathe. Like I said, I have no clue, but personally, I feel like that has some depth to it that I'm just not, I'm not connecting the dots. I'm not getting from A to Z here. But I would love to see what other people think of that line, because I know it's got to have some significance. But yeah, so then we actually get onto the song. Now, the song kind of loses once he gets past this point, the more shoegaze sound. Yes, it does have those overbearing, music sound, but it also then goes, louder vocals with Niko now singing. I mean, I really, question... well, no, it wouldn't be. It was just Niko there doing his higher-pitched voice. But yeah, that first part of the song, it doesn't even sound like Niko. But yeah. So we see as the lyrics actually get on into Niko's singing and vocals, and we see as he starts to discuss I guess very, I don't know if he's necessarily speaking about the relationship he's in now, but the very positive relationship that he's in, how he has grown to deeply love this individual, and how to the point that whenever she cries, he just feels sickened because he loves her so much, which is really enjoyable to see. I love seeing this nice romantic ode in a way. It's not necessarily romantic, but it is a nice ode to the beloved one of Niko DeMille. The beloved one. But yeah, so we see this, and then after this we just kind of get some more information, just focusing on how he's been on the up, how he's been able to help his family with payments and stuff like that. We see as he mentions about how the bills piled up and he was able to pay them all and stuff like that. So just once again focusing on a rising financial state, and we see also as he mentions the prodigal son, or being a prodigal son, which well, necessarily if you're not a Christian, you'll still know what the prodigal son is, but if you are a Christian, you're more likely to know the full story of the prodigal son, because it was a parable by Jesus. And right after this line about the prodigal son, he actually mentions a line about envy, about how people envy his girlfriend. But I know this wasn't an intended connection probably, but I loved how that line about envy was directly after the one about the prodigal son, because the prodigal son was a point of envy for the other son, and that's why the other son kind of fell out of grace with the father, because the prodigal son was not envious. He came back, though the previous son had stayed there the whole time and been with the father throughout everything. Once the prodigal son came back, he was better. He was a changed man. However, the other son allowed envy to develop into his heart, where he despised his other brother. And that is the faltering of the non-prodigal son. So that was just a really cool, I know it wasn't intended, but I personally, that had meaning to me. And that's one thing that's big about music. It's how you personally interpret it, because everyone's going to interpret music differently. It's just like art. Some people are going to see a piece of art and they're going to be like, that ain't art at all. But some people are going to see it and it's yo, that made me feel some deep connection. And I really like that. I really like that line there. But yeah, so what we just kind of see is that it becomes more of a focal point of the song after this point. And yeah, I just really enjoyed the lyricism. Lyricism, like I said, it wasn't anything absurdly different, but it was really enjoyable. And then you had little hints, here and there, or the intro, which I absolutely adored. And then you had that combination line of mentioning the prodigal son and then speaking on envy. But yeah, we also see as mentioning the depth of the lyrics so people can't understand them. I guess I'm guilty as charged here because I do not get the dust line, but I try to derive as much as I can from it. I don't look for stuff where it isn't, but I also do really strive to try and understand it, because I do love the depth of these songs, because it is most certainly present in every single one. But yeah, so because I believe the line is I like the beat, but once the lyrics get too deep, it's something like that. But yeah, I really enjoyed this song. especially because of one of the major things, which with this song, was the visuals. This visual was like nothing we've seen in a previous Niko DeMille or 12B sound. Like, it was a very in-depth, well edited, and well composed like music, like video. Yes, I don't even know exactly what it, like. It's not really an animation, but it's like it's really cool looking. It's almost disturbing to a point because you have like the old grainy film, and from like it reminds me of something you'd see on like 90s TV. And so it was really almost kind of disturbing to a point, and also kind of the kind of supernatural aspects to the visualization. But yeah, I really enjoyed it because it fit the theme of the song very well and the sound of the song, especially the early, like I said, almost shoegaze sound that it had prior in the beginning, because that like droning noise, like overbearing noise combined with the soft lyrics and then the very odd scenery in the background, like that was really good. Like honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. I know it's not shoegaze, but like I wouldn't be surprised to see this type of visual in like a Tool music video, if that makes any sense. If any of y'all know like Tool visuals, but Tool visuals are oftentimes known for their very abstract and out there like music videos and stuff like that. Though they're more oftentimes related to like aliens and stuff like that. But yeah, so I really enjoyed that, and yeah, like that's all I think I really had to say. But the visual was phenomenal. I really love the music, the beat in this song, and like I said, the music, general music was very enjoyable because like it fluctuated. Like yes, it's like at the beginning, it's very similar all the way throughout, but like you can tell that it changes and like develops because I mean, yeah, it does because Niko's vocals are in an increased volume now, but also it feels like you get to a different point by the end of the song. You start off this calm, slow, like the beginning of this song kind of reminds me of like just being out somewhere and dying, like dying in a field or like dying in a bed of snow. Like, you know, spoilers for Game of Thrones, but it's my favorite property of all time, so this is like the best comparison I have. But in season 5, episode 10 of Game of Thrones, we see as Jon Snow is betrayed by the Night's Watch, and he lays out there in the snow and bleeds to death after being stabbed by all of them, even the young boy who was on the Night's Watch, who he had sheltered and taken in. But yeah, so I don't know, like that the sound of shoegaze makes me like feel like dying out in a field, but it's like not in a bad way. It's kind of like in Red Dead actually, when like if you get the good ending with the deer and Arthur just kind of sits there and dies, like that's beautiful. Like that type of death, it kind of reminds me of that type of death, and like not death in a bad way, a very calm and peaceful death. But then as we get going more of the song, we get more jovial, we get more hopeful because we're seeing, as he was talking about, coming on the up, having this wonderful girlfriend, and just seeing how everything is just changing and for the better. So it has a great juxtaposition. It's not really juxtaposition because like that hope, that like peaceful death doesn't juxtapose with hopefulness, but like still it goes from calming to being hopeful, to being, I guess, optimistic for the future. But yeah, that's all there really was for Carolina by Niko DeMille. That's all I really have for episode 156 of Show For You. So thank you very much for watching.